Question number 7, Deputy Joan Burton.
Thank you, Minister. This is in relation to the Special Assignee Relief Programme, the tax break for executives, particularly earning over 70,000. In 2016, the cost of that break had gone up to 18 million a year, and it was availed of by nearly 800 executives. And what I'm concerned about is a number of very highly paid people have been getting very high reliefs. I do know that you have capped it from this year for new people and from next year for existing executives. I'd like to know if you can give us the numbers and the figures for 2017 and 18.
Thank you, Deputy. The Special Assignee Relief Programme, or SARP, does continue to be an important incentive. As the Deputy is aware, under the Finance Act of 2018, there is no change in the level of income tax relief available in 2019 for existing beneficiaries of the programme, and a new cap of €1 million is scheduled to apply to such taxpayers from the 1st of January of 2020. In bringing forward such an approach, I was mindful of the need to proceed in a balanced way, which, on the one hand, and on the basis of the most up-to-date data, sought to curtail the extent to which tax relief would be available, and on the other hand, recognised the need to proceed in a measured and considered way in respect of those who'd already taken decisions to move to Ireland. It isn't possible to accurately quantify the savings that will accrue to the Exchequer from the €1 million cap, as this requires an estimation regarding the number of new applicants to SARP in the course of 2019 and their individual levels. However, curtailing the level of relief was not only about management, it was also, and this was important to me, Deputy, about addressing the equity issues that arise from a small number of very high earners getting very significant amounts of relief. The imposition of a cap on this level would have no effect for approximately 98% of participants based on 2016 data. In relation to your figures, for example, in 2016, there were only 18 individuals out of a total of 793 with annual salaries in excess of €1 million. In 2015, the figures were 8 individuals out of a total of 586, and in 2014, there were 2 individuals out of a total of 302.
Deputy.
And the information you just read out there suggests, as I always felt about this particular scheme, that this is one of those schemes sold off the shelf by accounting and law firms around the world. So people who are interested in tax avoidance possibly are now utilising Ireland for that purpose, because the scheme in 2016 had some 4 people who earned over 3 million. So, therefore, effectively, their contribution in terms of tax payable stopped at $1 million. So that was worth at least $600,000 a year to each of those 4 people. Now, again, and you've referenced tax justice, tax equity. I personally think it's wrong. I can understand why Michael Noonan favoured this so much, because it was very much his contribution to tax policy in 2012, when literally there was no activity at all in Ireland. But I think it's time that this scheme was actually drawn in, and I like your views.
Articulated there that I decided to make this change in terms of the revenue impact of this in the grander scheme of what we collect. I would expect over time that it will make a small contribution, but I decided that this change had to be made on the grounds of tax equity. It was an appropriate and a correct decision at a point in 2012 when, as you said then, the level of economic activity that was underway was very low, and we were all working hard to try to attract more investment into our country, particularly jobs-rich investment. But having reviewed, Deputy, 2 things, which is, number 1, the growth in the number of individuals who were in the scheme, and number 2, the growth in the number of individuals at the top end of the scheme and the amount of tax relief they were earning, I decided that the reapplication of the cap was necessary. That's what I've done, and I'm going to review what is the impact of that cap now on job attraction, job retention across 2019.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Burton.
Yes, we had a discussion earlier, which I think eventually, the view of the Dáil probably prevailed, that, for instance, the idea that the bank caps on the top page, executives in banks of $500,000 plus, that they should not be increased. I do think that there is merit in actually lowering the cap further to certainly around the $500,000 mark, because you are talking about somebody who in future earning $1 million, the tax break will be worth the guts of $300,000 to them. That's a very generous tax break. I certainly think it could be minimised, and as I said, we do not want to simply attract people to Ireland for purposes of tax avoidance. We're also helping people in this situation with school fees, private school fees, to the tune of around 5,000. And I do think we should continue this conversation so that we get to a point where there is an equitable balance in favour of ordinary taxpayers.
And I am happy to continue this dialogue with the Deputy and with the Committee across this year. The only objective of this scheme should be that we are providing support to individuals who play a role in relation to either the retention or creation of jobs. And having evaluated the scheme against those objectives, I decided that the reapplication of the cap was needed in the context of the growth of the scheme, and in particular the growth of a number of very high earners at the highest end of the scheme, and in particular when you begin to realise some of the amounts of money that are involved in the relief as it stood then, as the Deputy explained, I decided that this change in policy was needed.